folks, and welcome. Just type in the chat there. Welcome to Wednesday night Techthusiasm live podcast. It's been a little while since we chatted again, so lots going on in the background of the channel. Holiday time has now come to a close, and we're back to work here, starting the new year. So lots of stuff going on. Wanted to get online here, do a little bit of a hangout, talk about plans. I've already kind of put some videos out. The last 3 videos have opened the door to discussing the big plans that are pending for the start of this year. Items that I was actually talking about wanting to do at the beginning of last year, or ideas that I had in mind, I guess, last year to some extent, now coming to fruition. So yeah, and that's kind of just my agenda for tonight. Kind of lay out the ultimately, I think what'll largely be like a Q1 plan for the channel. Reflect a little bit as well. I think 2024 was just an amazing year. Just so much stuff going around this whole endeavor around my exercising this home theater hobby, growing this business. Just really transformative. The response and the opportunities that came out of adding the offerings that I did, like kind of transitioning into being able to offer equipment and working with folks directly to help spec out projects and sell and support equipment and help people get set up with things has been very fun and a really great, I think, a really great opportunity. It's the right time to seize on it, and has definitely led to a lot. It's really the enablement of the next steps that are coming here in the channel. And so planning a whole lot of activities in 2025. So I just want to say, of course, thanks to everybody out there that's watched a video, that's been a customer in some capacity or another of Techthusiasm, has just left a comment and partaken in some way with kind of the enrollment, the enjoyment, the growth, and the execution and all of that stuff of this hobby. It's been awesome. I've made some awesome friends. I've been able to host events. I've been able to host some of the friends that we've made here, looking to do more of that into the new year as well. So hope everybody had great holidays in whatever capacity you were celebrating and enjoying them. I didn't really end up, I took a little bit of a Christmas break, still worked a few days, a handful of days over the Christmas and New Year's week, basically saving some vacation time for some other plans that are coming up, somewhat tangential to, I think, to the home theater hobby. Or planning a trip to Universal coming up with the family. So I didn't want to burn too many vacation hours, taking too much time off on the holidays, but we had a good time. A lot of family time. We hung out with friends, had a little friends New Year's Eve party, hung out in downtown Detroit a few times, saw some shows, went to the WWE holiday tour, Cirque du Soleil show, and some other things like that. Laid low a little bit, like a lot of sickness out there, colds and flus and coughs and pneumonias floating around. So we had a little bit of that washed through the household in a couple different waves. Including through the holidays. So, but we overcame that. Everybody's in good shape now. I've still been struggling a little bit. I don't know if anybody's ever suffered from something. What I'm determining or finding is some kind of form of cyber sickness. I guess it's been an odd few weeks, ending last year and coming into this year, feeling like motion sick and like a lot of screen time, I think, is adding up. So kind of still working my way through that a little bit. So I think some of the slowdown, perhaps, still been trying to hold to a video a week, and then we'll mix these live streams and hangouts and stuff in here as well. It's been a little tougher trying to kick out more. I've got so many more ideas than I've actually been able to put into film, put into editing and get published. So there's definitely a backlog. I know I've seen folks leave comments on some of the videos recently, like, hey, you did the calibration, right? Sammy's here. What were the results? And I wanted to do a live stream with Sammy for a while and talk about the calibration experience, short story of it. Of course, the projector and the theater looks awesome video wise. of course, but I still want to break that down. We had the Ubiquity stuff come in, set up all the network, and I did the unboxings and the install videos, but I have yet to be able to actually comment on the UI and the usability and the reliability and so on. Really do more of a real review more than just kind of a first take on the Ubiquity stuff. So that's in the plan. Control 4 had a big software update, or the Halos anyway, overhauled the UI of the Halos. I want to talk about that. There's still more to be said about the wide aspect ratio feature of TVS 18, which actually went live for everybody, or in some ways we could say the lack of a feature that it is. So more to say about that. But I'll do my best, keep up with the content, and still a lot to be done in short order here to kind of kick up and get things moving and get things done around the household here, kind of congruent with the plan. So we'll talk through that tonight as well. If anybody has questions, comments, all those things, definitely post them in the chat. Let me know who's out there. I'm seeing a bunch of friends posting. Julius, welcome, and hello. Don, welcome. Maybe we can hang out some tomorrow night a little bit too. Sammy, yep, welcome. Yeah, we can do that. Talking about the calibration live stream. Yeah, we'll get it. We'll definitely get it in. Joe, welcome, and all the others that are in attendance as well. Ooh, a new name, awesome. Zenekis, hello, and welcome. Kevin, good evening, fellas. Kevin S. here from GSG Audio Design. Welcome, Kevin. Love the channel. Thanks so much. So, as much as I have a backlog of content that I want to be spinning out, there's also a backlog of things to be done. I think in the last live stream, we were talking mostly or a little bit more about kind of the Ubiquity phase 2. And you can see, I get my finger in the right spot right here, a couple of white boxes here. Those are still the cameras. they remain in my office over here. So the doorbell and the 8 cameras, are there. That installation has not happened yet. So Dan and I, Mr. Dan DiCarlo from AudioVision, my friend, and you've seen him on the channel multiple times over the course of our history here. He hasn't been able to, we haven't been able to come together to get that done. I think also interrupted because of illnesses and whatnot. Dan was down pretty hard over the over the Christmas break. So we're planning still planning for a big visit when all of the stars align and he's feeling well and it fits the rest of his schedule. He's got other customers to go service and take care of and all that. But I'm hopeful. I think hopeful probably for some time in January. So we'll get the cameras in. We'll get the cameras in and up. We'll get the doorbell in and up. Get the watt boxes fully programmed. A number of the things that I had been discussing before. I did pay for, and it's set essentially to upgrade the Control 4 controller in the system. So again, when Dan comes, this is hopefully a day of work, a day of working together and getting everything in. Install the cams, install the doorbell, program up the watt box, program up a couple other things in the system, swap out the EA5 for the Core 5 and see what that does exactly in terms of if it unlocks any more features. We should be seeing actually the big Control 4 general update, I think, coming with more Apple HomeKit integrations, basically the fruition and the delivery of the stuff that they had announced and were talking about since CEDIA time last September, sorry. So excited. We'll see when that comes, but I want to get all this stuff done. We'll get ready for that. And we'll be able to talk some more Control 4 this year. Home automation, again, updating, commenting on software capabilities. I still got more Control 4 video ideas that I want to knock out, and all that. So that stuff's in the pipeline. It's pending availabilities and all that. A couple comments here. Smalley, howdy. Ooh, this big super chat. Zenix is $10. Thank you so much. Question: I bought a ZDU 8000 ripping 4Ks as we speak with your help. Do I need to place the MKVs in the root of the drive that will be slotted to the ZDU? So you paid me to answer this question. I don't know that I'm qualified to answer this question. I've used a variety of these players. I've used Zapides, Dunes, and so on. I don't think I've ever actually had a Z-do. I think most of the time, the scanners that run over, I will say the scanners that run over a set of ripped media should not have to go in the root of the drive. I've always been a stickler for organization in my file sets and the stuff that I do, the way that I keep my things and stuff. So I'm a big fan of subfolders for organizing a video library. Meaning if I look at my limited set of content that I still maintain that's ripped just because it's old and it's either hard to get or hasn't been available somewhere else. I actually have like a movies folder, and then I do an ABCD like letter folder, and then in there, if I have series, I'll put them together in a folder. So Infuse and other tools and playback systems, metadata systems that I've used, nothing should ever really have trouble indexing through subfolders. So I wouldn't expect to be just having to drop all the MKVs on the root of the drive. I would definitely look to make a folder structure and a hierarchy of files. And it should go recursively through a deeper folder structure as well. Wow, another one. Thanks so much. Zenegas, how in the road to rip John Wick? It's a hot mess of files. So at some point in time, I've probably ripped John Wick. Perhaps not. I'm trying to think if that was if that had come out on disc late enough or early enough that I still would have been building up content to a ripping server versus having made a transition to Kaleidoscape. I think probably it might have been in early enough days. So a hot mess of files. A hot mess of files, when you put a disk in, you open up Make MKV or whatnot, whatever tool you're using, and you see all of these different titles showing up. A lot of times, if you see a lot of them, that's kind of by design for the disk encoding, the disk studios. Generally, it's like what they call playlist obfuscation, and they have like the different chapter sets or the different movie segments and all these different scrambled order. And somewhere in that mess of what could be dozens or even hundreds of different playlists is the actual right one. So in the past, if I've ever encountered a disk that had something like that, I would usually try to crowdsource the answer to it. I would look on like Make MKV's user forums or basically some other type of online discussion where somebody might have found the answer essentially for that specific disk and identified the right one. Then of course you have to rip it, and you're going to want to watch it or step through it in fairly short segments of time so that you make sure that the kind of movie is intact the way that it is. So when you say hot mess of files, I'm envisioning that there's many of them. Other discs historically, like a Disney disc, I don't know if they're still doing this. Again, it's been a while since I've ripped anything. But like Disney would often have usually a handful, I would say maybe 3 to 5 different titles on the disc. And those, they weren't trying to obfuscate the right one. It would be like a language difference. So and differences so simple that it boils down to like one of those titles would be Walt Disney Presents at the beginning of the movie in English, and then one of them would be Walt Disney Presente in French and in German and Spanish or whatever, right? And so you would often have like playlist 800, 801, 802 Disney. I think always liked the 800, but 800 would always be the English one pretty reliably. So that's another reason that you might see some different, if you only see one or two or a couple different titles, there could be like a multiple versions of the movie on the disc. There could be a standard edition, maybe an extended edition one, extended edition one. Like Joe's saying, yeah, John Wick Lionsgate titles notorious for obfuscation. That's definitely a pain. A couple other folks here. Oh, Ike is with us as well. Yeah, Smalley. There's a running spreadsheet of which file to use when ripping. Yeah, I don't know the current status of any of that kind of crowdsourced information, but oftentimes these things were discussed on the Make MKV forums. Don is asking what program we're using. Ike is confirming, yeah, you can put the MKV into a folder. Should be fine, no problem. Yeah, use a Make MKV. Yeah, so again, if you're seeing many titles in Make MKV, it's because of obfuscation. It's a hard word to say. If you're seeing a few, it's because each one represents a slightly different variant of some element, often like the Disney thing for language, or special edition, extended edition, normal edition, encoding, or instance of the movie, and you can pick the one that you want and kind of stick with it. Other folks joining in, Spliffy Bendrix, welcome. Oh yeah, I was planning to talk about this tonight as well. Zeneca's phase, by the way. Thank you. I love to hear that. Definitely love to hear that. I think the comment section on the videos on the channel, knock on wood, is even now at like 23,000 subscribers, and the size that the channel has grown to, remains really strong. And I still really strive to read every comment, every comment that gets posted to the channel, multiple times a day. I'll sweep through them. I heart everything, and letting you know that I've read it. And then if I have a pertinent reply, I'll definitely reply. So I'm sure that is I only really see a lot of the newer stuff. So if there's like deeper threads of conversation, the YouTube tools make it hard to see that. But I really, really do try to engage everything that I can. Excited for 5090. Ooh, already got stock alerts. Yep, set to grab a 5080. Then the 2025 build will be complete. Let me zoom back over here 1 second. I have, and I just broke it. It didn't happen. I have the first piece of my 2025 PC build right there. I got the SSD T700 Crucial Pro 4 terabyte Gen 5 PCI Gen 5 SSD. I know this is one of those things where does the Gen 5 speed 12.4 gigabit per second of bandwidth, almost twice as fast as a Gen 5 is almost twice as fast as a Gen 4 SSD. But I definitely wanted a 4 terabyte. Games aren't getting any smaller, and I like having a lot of them to choose from loaded up on the PC. And this was like $370, I think. Normal price like $600, but it was on Black Friday sale and I didn't grab it, and I just kept waiting. Just kept waiting for the prices to go down. So for the first piece of the build is here and ready to go. I did also get a hold of a AMD 9800X 3D earlier over the weekend, I think it was actually, or maybe it was Monday night. But in any case, got that from Amazon. This was from Best Buy. Like I said, these are normally like $600, but they'll go on sale for $350. And so I was just watching for that to go on sale. I've been watching all my other parts, trying to look for some drop downs in price in order to pick up the other pieces. Of course, there's no discount on a 9800X 3D to be had. A discount on a 9800X 3D is buying it at MSRP, essentially. So we do have a Micro Center in Southeast Michigan here. It's up in like Madison Heights. So they've had them in stock. I've been watching that and seeing it's like, oh, 25 plus in stock. And so I debated, like, all right, grab my son and like, hey, let's make a run to the computer store, because it would just be nerdy fun to go there and buy it and just kind of peruse, take him to electronics, like a computer store that's not like Best Buy. But it's a little bit of a trek to get up there, and I just haven't had much of an opportunity to go when they've had stock indicated, and then other days where like this dizzy nausea thing has left me like not maybe in a moment where I would have had time to go. I didn't want to drive. I didn't feel like driving, so we didn't go. But anyway, Amazon had them and I grabbed it. So that's shipping like January 23rd. So it'll be here just in time. The one thing that I want to reconfirm on the 5000 series. So if anybody doesn't know, CES is this week. We can talk a little bit about CES as well. I was looking at a little bit of the news. I loosely consider going in future years, maybe, but in some ways I kind of feel like it's not super necessary to go. But so CES was this week. NVIDIA has the last few years as well kicked off the show with their keynote, and that's largely where new GPU generations, video cards for our PCs have been announced. And so, of course, the 5000 series was announced. The 5090 card, the new king of the hill, is coming. $2,000 for that video card, up a few $100 from the price of the 4090, twice as much. I think as what the list price of the 5090 or the 5080 was announced at, but I'm definitely going for the 90 build, sticking to the 90 level card and the 90 build. So, but from what it looked like, the information was like releases January 30th. And so, but I don't know what that, I got to double check and see what that means. There'll be some day where like at 9 a.m., probably Eastern time, these things are going to go on sale, and all the online carts will open up, and there's going to be a big rush. There's going to be a bunch of jerkwad scalpers buying these cards to put them on eBay for $4,000 immediately after they get a hold of them. So this is the way of things for GPUs and new video game console releases since COVID times, essentially. Unfortunately, I just want my one that I want to actually use in my computer. But I got to double check. So whether there's going to be a different day, that's the like pre-order day, get up and make sure to be online and log in and pre-order. And then they'll ship on the 30th. So they'll go on pre-order someday in advance of the 30th. Or is the 30th the day that we will be fighting to buy them? And then they'll ship hopefully in fairly short order immediately thereafter. So I think the card's looking great. I was just going to pull up the product page here. I already had it set to screen share. Yeah, 50 series. I'm amazed at how small the 5090 is. 2-slot card. I'll probably consider the Founders, but there's been a lot of very specific elements of this PC build that I've been spending probably far too much time debating, because I want to use a very specific case. I want to use a Thermaltake case, and it's either going to be what they call the 600. Yeah, I either want to do the 600 or this 250, and I haven't decided between full-size motherboard or ITX motherboard. And so definitely that Founders card will fit in here just fine. But then I've seen other things where if you have cards with vapor chambers, they don't do as well. The card will be in a vertical orientation, so it might require a different GPU that doesn't have a vapor chamber, which the MSI cards largely haven't. So it's been like kind of this little bit of a rabbit hole of research and whatnot, because this is the bigger case. And I don't care about the price as much. It's like 130 versus 170 bucks, but the form factor changes a lot in which motherboard you use and all of that stuff. So I'm working to figure that out. If I do the Founders card, and I'd be happy with just the Founders card rather than spending even more to get a third party. I haven't had a Founders card the last either in the 4000 or the 3000 series generations because I could just never get them. They're very hard to get. And then it feels like they only make them for a little while. So I've had, I think, an Asus card. My current one is an MSI Gaming X Trio, which is a big card. It would fit in these cases. That's not going to be a problem. But I think the Founders card, if I go for the ITX build, for the smaller build, which would be nicer in some ways, the Founders card would certainly fit better in there. But then again, I believe it'll probably have a vapor chamber, and does the vapor chamber not cool when it's vertical? So all these different things. This is why PC gaming requires the extra level of complexity versus just buying the best console you can get and kind of enjoying it. So yeah, Spliffy. So 4 terabyte is what I picked out as well. Yeah, lots of good options. But the T700 was a pretty clear winner in terms of like pure speed. So my intention is still, so Thermaltake case, 9800X 3D. I'll probably load it with like 64 gig of RAM, 232 sticks, DDR5, 6000 is all you need. You don't need to buy high-speed RAM because the way the clocks line up and all that stuff. I'm probably going to put a 1300 watt power supply in it. The 5090 is calling for 1000 watt. So I want to have some headroom. probably buy like a Seasonic titanium, I think is what I was looking at. I've long used Seasonic power supplies in my PC builds lately. Asus or Gigabyte motherboard, maybe. If I do the ITX build, there's very, very few choices for the AMD X70 platform. Obviously the 5090 card. What else? Some Noctua fans. The CPU cooler. I'm thinking still of the Noctua, the D15, DH15 Gen 2 LBC variant for the AMD. If I'm speaking Greek to anybody, it's like, we wanted to hear you talk about Focal speakers. We'll get to that too. And I think that's the gist of the build. So again, kind of slowly, just watching the prices, trying to grab everything I can on sale. Maybe, and then, yeah, anyway, then we'll go from there. So yeah, it's a big chunk when going with small form factor. Yep, not going to be easy to add more storage. Yeah, I mean, it's all you need. 4 terabytes is a lot of game storage space if you're not using the PC for other stuff. I don't. So like real thin Windows install and some video card drivers, and that's it. Everything else is games. And yeah, all these motherboards, even if you go with like an ATX motherboard that has multiple slots and you do a Gen 5 SSD, there's only, it seems to me that on most of these boards, there's only one Gen 5 slot anyway. So it all lines up. Everything like PCI Gen 5, everything, use one of everything, keep it simple as well. No RAID complexities and stuff like that. So Jack Herbert, welcome. 59 price is wild. Yeah, but others are surprised. Yeah. So I mean, you get what you pay for. You pay for what you get. So yeah, 5090 is January 30th. Yeah, anything beyond Founders Edition going to be 2K. Yeah, so like an MSI Gaming X Trio, I'm guessing it's probably going to be like 2,300. So on that alone, I'd rather just spend the least to get a 5090 and just get the Founders anyway. I think that's the best way to go. Plus, you use the NVIDIA app now. They have the AI-based overclocking stuff, so it's like it's just push a button, run the profile, and it's awesome. I never did make a video about that. I did that on the gaming PC as it is. It's been completely stable, and I forget what it actually gained, but there were some nice gains just from doing that. So just buy the Founders card. Hope you hit the chip lottery. Use the NVIDIA app, automatic AI overclocking, and you get every little bit of performance that you can out of it. Yeah, we'll see. I hope it they didn't go too small for what the chip is. So MW, welcome. New Mad VR with 5090. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if you look at what these 5000 series cards are built for, if you go watch some of the keynote, Jensen's the CEO of NVIDIA, his keynote talking about these cards and what they're enabling. I mean, we're talking about like AI computation engines plus everything else. Darn right, the Mad VR guys are going to be taking advantage of that. So, what is a 5000 series Mad VR look like? I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. Will a Mad VR core with a 5060 even run like motion AI? I don't know. I'm very, very eager. I love, this is one element of technology that I really dig, and I'm very excited about this PC build as well. So at this point, my daughter, she actually expressed some interest in playing some games. She wanted to play Spider-Man, hooking in some interest through the Marvel interest, and but with my son, man, we've been playing a lot of Marvel Rivals. Talk a little bit about that. That's been really fun. So been digging on that. As a family, we've been playing a game called Soundfall. We just started that over the Christmas break a little bit. Little 4-player looter shooter, like 3/4 top-down view game. But I'm really excited to build it. So as much as I've talked about in some of the content about my PC versus console, and console's a lot easier. You got to do a lot more with PC. I'm excited about doing this build because this will really be the first computer that I won't build. My son's going to build it, so he's going to get his chance to learn, and we'll do it together. So my daughter as well, if she's interested, hopefully I can get her interested to do it. Yeah, do I have Micro Center? Yep. It's like 40 minutes away. There's one northern suburbs of Detroit. So I do wonder about going there, like get in line kind of thing. Yeah, we'll have to see. We'll have to see if I could stand a reasonably good shot of showing up at Micro Center the morning of a release and walk out with the card. That would be pretty cool as well. So, or maybe if the pre-orders fail, that will be the alternative way to go. Yeah, I can't wait to see how long it takes to even sniff a card with all these scalpers. Yeah, it sucks. It sucks. We'll see. Yeah, Smalley saying cards only affect a couple degrees if you change orientation. Yeah. Yeah, I hope it works. I really like these cases. Like, I think this case is just stellar. I love the fishbowl style view of it. And this case really suits my installation wherever I may put it. It gives me two options, because if it stays downstairs, if the PC stays downstairs, it will stay on top of the rack, and a regular like sideways PC case is just kind of ugly up there. All the wires are sticking out the left side, and the face is sticking to the right side, and you're kind of looking through the window. This will sit up on top. All the wires will come out of the back. I can tie them all up nice and clean. So you'll be able to look at the rack and you won't see those wires coming out the side. It will just sit up there so nicely and just present itself really good. And if I ever opt to actually bring the computer upstairs, this allows me to just kind of like set it on the floor, push this up against the wall, and I may be able to have a little more facility to bring the PC up to the room as well, with the Focal build and the other pending stuff kind of that's going on. MW, what screen do you use to play games? We game in the living room, which is just behind me through this black opening on the other side of that wall. We game currently on a 83-inch LG G2 OLED. So using the PC, we're running 4K 120 VRR. So I'm very excited for the 5090, because it's going to drop straight up 120 maxed out on a lot of games. So very excited for that. Scooch, what are your thoughts on OLED panels for gaming? So I just said I don't notice VRR flicker, and I am definitely not concerned about burn-in risk for. I mean, as much as we legitimately play and all that, I have no concerns about burn-in, and I've never noticed any type of flicker or problems with that. My intention is to stick with it. Really, my goal for 2025, after the reconstruction, in conjunction with the reconstruction to put the Focal Utopia speaker set into the living room, is to adjust the cubby sizes. And my rough intent, if I can make it happen, is to hang a 97-inch G5 LG in there to replace the 83 G2. I'm really surprised, actually, segueing a little bit over to CES, but I'm very surprised that the G4 97 was discontinued, and the G5 97 is coming. The 97s have been every other TV generation, but they already announced it. There's a G5 coming. So, and that thing's just going to be a monster. Does any screen do 4? Yeah, so that it does. That's HDMI 2.1, 48 gigabit bandwidth. We'll do that. Pretty much all of the new TVs, higher end TVs with HDMI 2.1, will do this properly, and a PC can do it. In fact, I don't know what the full spec will be, but I think that G5 is going to be up to like certainly 144 hertz, if not. I thought I had seen some stuff about 165 hertz televisions, if I recall correctly from some of the CES news. So, all right, just looking. Yeah, Michael saying, where you order from? Talking about the 5090. I don't know if it's one of those things where, like, you probably sit with NVIDIA's page, Best Buy's page, Newegg, at least probably all three of those open. and just kind of score wherever you can score. So yeah, with the 5080, 5090, you don't need not much anymore. There'll always be new games though, and when you want to run native 4K, who cares about AI upscaling and whatever if you have the brute force power to just run the game at native 4K, maxed out settings. Yeah, Joe looks expensive. Yep. Yeah, NVIDIA's. Yeah, I saw that too. And then they had that super array thing on the Shield disk that Jensen brought out. They got some crazy stuff going on. Yeah, MW maybe cheaper MadVR Extreme using 5080. To my knowledge, none of the MadVRs have used the 90 series cards. The Extremes use the 80s. So the NV Extreme Mark II that I've got downstairs is a 4080, and then the smaller NVs use the 60 series. Is what is, I believe, the GPU spread. Joe used to work at the mall parking lot. Yeah, what is that mall? It's not Somerset. I forget. Up there on like 14 Mile in 75. Smalley, any reason you don't use something like a Silverstone? I have the Silverstone RM44 as an open tab in my PC building. What do you call it? Safari tab group. So I had been contemplating it. If I were really dedicated to making sure that the PC was always going to stay downstairs, that would be an easier choice, perhaps, to go ahead and rack the PC up. I was actually counting my rack units, though, and I'm tighter on rack units than I thought I was to be able to actually try to fit a PC in there somewhere potentially. So it's actually kind of nice to relieve the rack and just have the PC up top. But I think I'm positioning to potentially try to get the PC up to the living room as well. So when pending the living room wall rebuild, right, to do the, let me pull this up. So I'm talking, it's YouTube. We should show what we're talking about. Let's do this. Let me pull this up here. Is there a way? Yeah. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. All right, bear with me 1 second. Actually, I think I can do this. Hold on. I think if I share this. No. Sorry, bear with me. All right, I don't think I'm. No, I am. I don't want to share that like that. Here, let's do this. I can grab these 3 photos and we'll put them in here. Okay, and then let me share a different window. Go here, Whoop, not an invite. Present, share screen, window. It's not working the way. Oh no, hold on. Let me do this instead. Bear with me. Where's my preview? There it is. Okay. Share. There we go. So there's the view of the living room, right? So what we're talking about doing here is reconstructing this wall, right? Reconstructing this wall. And that nice little Thermaltake 250 case would stand like right here, or even preferably over on the other side, right up against the wall. Right up against the wall. On this side, I've got a power plug, and I have a Ethernet connection right there. But once we rip the drywall off of this thing, I will be able to cut and leave some inlets on either side, like a brush. Basically, what I want to do is have like kind of a brush panel so that I can pass wires through, and we'll make sure to be able to run some extra kind of conduit and whatnot. Run some extra kind of conduit and whatnot to be able to get back behind the display, to be able to get an HDMI cable over there. And so the reason I was pulling this up is because if I did a Silverstone RM44 and I racked the computer downstairs, then bringing it, I think we gotta, hold on, let me do one thing here. Got a little spam going on. Okay. If I rack the computer, I'm not bringing that big rack case upstairs anymore. So, but if I put that computer in a nice little, decent looking case that's not, has some spousal acceptance factor to it, and we're kind of okay looking at it, and it's small enough that we can kind of tuck it over to the side. You can actually see in this view, there's some Ethernet plugs, Ethernet jacks right there. It would fit right under that window, right in that kind of little crevice. This chair is not going to probably stay here for good. I think that chair is kind of on its way out, and we'll do something else kind of in that corner. This is the corner where we usually stand our Christmas tree and stuff too. But yeah, I'll be able to run cables in there and whatever. So again, if I rack the computer, I lose some potential flexibility, and there's a lot of merits to bringing the computer up to the living room. It does work great downstairs as it is. Controller reception, reliability, and all that stuff is fine. There was an interesting comment, and pardon me if the person that left that comment is in the chat right now, but mentioning that, yeah, I'm probably suffering from more latency, a lot more controller latency than I think I am, because the Bluetooth signal from the controllers has to pass through, it has to pass down through the walls. And so I did a little research, some chat GPT and stuff about that. And yeah, like, I'm probably actually introducing a lot of latency. And then and so engaging that person in those comments had me looking at a couple of other things, and it led me to this site, which I thought was pretty interesting, Game Padla. So it's pretty cool. Like, you can search all these different controllers. If we presume that the information here is correct, right, and authentic. Oh, Smalley, that was you. Okay, all right, cool. So yeah, so we were engaging a little bit in those comments. What I didn't realize was, let me find this, Xbox. Yeah, the Elite Series 2 controller on Bluetooth is, well, not quite, but almost like twice the latency of using the wireless controller adapter. So bringing the computer actually upstairs, now I start to heat up the living room with the heat, and I got to be a little more concerned about noise level. Can't just run the fans at 100 and all will be well. But I'll be directly there for much closer wireless connectivity for the controllers. I would be able to easily reuse the Xbox wireless controller adapter for the Xbox controllers, stick the Bluetooth for the PlayStation controller, and also if we wanted to plug in wired controllers, specifically fight sticks, then we would be able to do that without having to do any extensions and all of that. So this is the thought. I've gone through cycles where I've had the PC upstairs and I've had it downstairs, and a lot of the ability to leave it upstairs to me is based on the way it looks in the case that it's in. So anyway, long story short of all of that, MW, have you considered the fractal design, the Mood case? I don't think I've seen the Mood. I definitely like fractal cases. I have a fractal Meshify. Let's see what the Mood is. I have a fractal Meshify right now. Oh yeah, this would be way small form factor. So my only concern is that I don't want to go too small form factor, because I want a really powerful PC. I want graphics card 325 millimeters in length. It's not bad. It's ITX 200. Something like this. So going with the 9800X3D instead of a super hot, power hungry Intel chip might make something like this a little more accessible as well. So I need to consider more. I really, if I can do an ITX build that can run cool and look a lot nicer, then I would I'd be in for that. But I need to still keep my options open on the casing of the build. I know the parts pretty zeroed in on the parts that I want to use, and so although I was really wanting to air cool as well, rather than go with a radiator to cool a beefier CPU in a case like this, you really got to use the radiator. But I guess that's a fine trade-off for something like this. I mean, this would look really nice sitting on the floor, but nicer than the thermal take, for sure. So I got some more thinking to do. And there's really not, if you look for Asus boards, 870 boards, there's like 2 ITX boards. There's an Asus and there's a Gigabyte, a white Gigabyte, for like $300, and then the Asus is more. So, but then the Noctua, the DH15 Gen 2 LBC doesn't fit on the Asus ITX. There's only the Gigabyte left, and it fits with like some caveats to it. So it's like all these different things. But if you go with the radiator, then I don't know, it might work. And if you get the 5090 in there, all right. I'm going to be looking at the mood in much more detail. Pretty sure I've looked at this, but I was dismissing again, kind of based on the size and the level of components that I wanted to put in there. Jack, MSI, some pretty wild 5090 cards, 5 fans. Yeah. I haven't gone and looked at all the third-party announcements yet. So, Classy, welcome, Classy. How's it going? Glad you're here. Sorry. So this is another thing that I did. I got that. I had that PS5 Pro for like whatever 3 or 4 weeks, and we played with it, but I never made a single piece of content about the PS5 Pro. And I talked with Classy. We talked with some other folks. Wanted to try to get on a live stream and talk about it. I kind of ghosted you guys. That's when I really was like, I really fell into my nystagmus condition, and the stuff that I was kind of going through there really hit me hard at that time. So I apologize publicly for kind of proposing what would be a cool idea and then not really living up to deliver on that. But I definitely want to be doing more. Surprised. I wonder if are you at CES tonight? Or actually CES show's probably still going on today. We'll talk a little bit more about that as well. Let's see, just looking through the comments. Let's talk about some USTs. Smalley, if you want to display the PC for the living room, some sick open air cases. Yeah, I'll mark that and give them a look. Yeah, Lee and Lee A3 with wood panel front is also beautiful. My main thing for the living room build is I need a front facing case where the cables come out the back, not the side. And I can't take a longer PC case and flip it. I can't flip it around and make it look good. It has to be something like this mood or like the thermal takes, where it has a front and then the cables come out the back. That's ideal. All right, let's see. Yeah, Classy, if it's for gaming, yep, 9800X3D is far. So the new Intel chips apparently got some big firmware updates, like microcode updates, etc., BIOS updates that were supposed to make them some pretty significant improvements, but it still seemed like the 9800 AMD still eating Intel's lunch. So yeah, I made any content in 6 months. No CES for me, not worth going. Yeah, I agree. I think I thought there was, you just made another comment aside from the 50. Maybe I missed it. Oh yeah, right here. CES is kind of meh except for the 5,000 cards. And I kind of agree. Like, it's a lot of the same thing. Like, of course, we want to know all the TV news, TV models, and TV announcements. And even then, like, not everything was announced. Like TCL, who's really, I think, killing it right now in TVs, didn't even announce everything. So they're holding back. They announced that QM6K, I think, was the model number, but no successor to the QM8 line was announced there. LG was really the one that I wanted to see the most about, because it really impacts, again, this living room plan. So let me pull this picture back up. we'll talk a little bit about that. Yeah, so that's the PC stuff. The PS5 Pro has been returned. To quote my son, Dad, we are PC gamers. So it goes, and we're gonna build as such. So we'll build that whole new computer. I kind of want to do the build as a live stream. If we can do it on a weekend, just let the camera roll and just be me and him hanging out, doing the stuff. People can drop in, drop out, probably take a few hours, or go slow, maybe longer than that. Cause again, I really want to kind of have him doing it. So we'll see how that shapes up to come. That would be, I think it'd be pretty fun. All right. Yeah, his LG. Yeah, the LG info came out pretty quick. I think they've announced all of their lines. The 5 series TVs. I have to admit, I didn't really look at any. I didn't really look deeply at much of anything except for the G5 and the M5. I wouldn't expect to really go for an M5, but it definitely still made me think though about like the wireless connectivity and where my stuff could go and things like that. But it's going to be way more expensive, and I think it's completely unnecessary for me. So the G5 will be the ticket. So yeah, it's all, I presume they announced all the C5s and all that stuff. Yeah, they did take the MLA off, which was interesting. G5 communities to worry about uniformity. So one of my limitations on television choice for my setup, and one of the reasons too that the LG, it brings two very specific pieces to the table for me. One, I really want the large TV. I want a 97, 98 inch TV in here, and I want it to be really thin. So a 98 inch QM8 is like 4 inches deep, and these big OLEDs, these big LG G series OLEDs are like an inch deep, and that's huge. That's huge for me. So anything else about the PC? Again, yeah, we've been playing Marvel Rivals, totally digging it. That's been a lot of fun. Didn't really rank up very much in season 0, but now that we kind of got into it, we're gonna look to try to rank up. We unlocked all the season 0 stuff. We're gonna look to rank up, my son and I, in season 1 coming here. Season 1 starts Friday, so if you've been sleeping on Marvel Rivals, this week is the week to get in. We haven't really watched a whole lot of movies. So yeah, we've been doing the gaming, been reading a lot of comics as usual. We're up to Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness on that. We watched some Christmas movies, watched Red One, and that. But so let's talk about the big news for 2025. So we got all the smart home stuff going on, kind of ready to go, ready to be installed. We've got PC build pending here in the coming weeks as well. And then, given the last 3 videos on the channel that I released, we have the Focal Utopia. I can't even remember honestly how much I talked about this the last live stream. I think I like kind of more or less teased it a little bit the last time. I want to say the last live stream, the deal wasn't fully inked. It was like right on the precipice of being a done deal. But it's done. Obviously, I've made the videos. I have speakers here. Still just one of each. I have one IWLCR Utopia Focal 1000, and I have one of the IW Sub Utopia modules. Those are the ones I made the videos with. 4 more Utopia speakers are on their way, and 1 more subwoofer is on its way. 1 more IW Sub Utopia and 4 more IWLCR Utopias are coming. So in addition, 1 more IWLCR6 is coming. So what we're planning, again, per the videos, I need to stop looking around, making me dizzy. What we're planning per the videos is a theater speaker upgrade where 3 IWLCR Utopias will go behind the screen. the 3 IWLCR6s will come out that are behind the screen right now. They'll come out, and the new one that's coming will make 4 IWLCR6s. Those then the IW6s that make up my side and rear surrounds will come out, and the 4 IWLCR6s will go into those 4 locations. And so we'll have 3 Utopias, 3 big boys, top end models, LCR behind the screen, 4 of the larger 1000 series in walls, and then I'm just keeping the rounds in the ceiling. We did talk about using the ICLCR5 overhead. So get rid of that. Using those overhead, but I don't, there's no space for it. The floor joists of my ceiling of the basement, between the basement and the main floor, only have about a 12-inch air gap. And the ICLCR5 is like 14, 15 inches square. So it didn't fit, which is fine. Happy to just keep the rounds in there. They'll do the job. They're all 1000 series. It'll match up great. They're just Atmos speakers anyway. So super excited about that. That should be a relatively easy install. All we got to do, I just hope the speakers come out clean, and like having them tightly into the wall and getting them out doesn't tear up drywall and create any troubles like that. That's my one hope, crossing my fingers and hope that comes together, because if they pop out of the wall, it's clean. All I got to do is cut some extra height above and or below the speakers, depending on where I want the taller speakers to fall on the wall. We put the new ones in. I pull 3 additional speaker cables, or three additional runs of speaker cable to the L, C, and R up front, because the Utopia speakers are bi-ampable. So I have 3 extra amp channels unused on my NADM 28s, and I will have 3 speakers capable of being bi-amped. So why not do all that? Don't have to buy any extra amps there. Just use what I have at full capacity. Run, again, 3 extra little speaker wire pulls, and then yeah, we'll drop the new ones in and rerun some Arc Genesis, and all in all, that should be like a weekend, maybe even just a day. Let's say weekend, hopefully 2 days ish of 2 days ish of work to get that done. So as soon as that stuff arrives, that project will get prioritized, hopefully, to the first available weekend opportunity to do it. I haven't made this video yet, so little pre announcement. I did buy one of the things that I did when I bought the UPS and I bought the Wattbox 820 is, and currently right now actually, I'm still running the entirety of the rack through the 820, which means the entirety of the rack is on the UPS, including the amps. And I don't think that's the way I was probably really intending to keep it long term. The amps can draw like transient power that maybe the UPS limits, and then we put expensive electronics at risk that we're actually trying to like protect fully. So I did purchase, I already have them. They're down in the basements too. The Wattbox actually makes a 2 outlet version of the 820 rated for 20 amp plugs and connection and power delivery. A 2 outlet version. I forget what the price was. I want to say they're like a couple $100. But I got 2 of them. And so I am going to take the main amps off the UPS. And my reason for that is, as we go through these coming upgrades, we are going to put more draw of power into the system. So right now we're using 11 of the 14 M28 amplifier channels. And after bi-amping the Utopias, we'll be using all 14 amp channels. And I would just expect that the Utopias can take a little more as well. So I'm going to take the 2 M28s off the UPS, and they will plug into one of the 2 outlet 820 watt boxes, and that will plug directly into the wall. So no risk of current limiting or what power delivery concern for those amps going through the UPS. And then that will be it. That'll be the theater. I mean, we're talking like just absolute, just crazy end game level stuff now here. I still am intending to swap the SB16s for SB17s because why not? But I have not put in any effort in earnest to sell the SB16s. So I was talking with somebody actually that about some other speakers and stuff like that. They were looking to buy a few things, and they're reasonably local that they could come pick up a couple of the SB16s possibly. So I just need to get the other two. If two are spoken for, that's great. Then I need to get the other two listed for sale on Facebook Market or whatever, and just get them moving locally. So we'll do that swap out because again, why not? Take the latest greatest unit, slightly bigger, a little more mid bass punch, and the things that people are saying about it. And then I don't even know what else we could possibly be doing in the theater space. It's just going to be so good. So that's cool. I'm excited for that. That's all very achievable and attainable and doable again when the stuff comes fairly quickly. In some respects, I'm almost honestly more excited just about where the living room is going. I love the living rooms. I love our living room space. We use it way more than the theater, of course. So I don't know what the ratio is, but it's got to be several times to one. For every hour that we spend in the theater, many more hours are spent in the living room, of course, and still many more hours spent using the TV in the living room. It's where we game. So we mentioned that again. We don't game in the theater. The complexities that get involved of connecting a computer to the projector, and then not having VRR and stuff like that, just doesn't. It's better. The experience of gaming is better on the television than the projector, let alone having the Mad VR and the lens. And like the theater is now configured for movies. It's configured for cinematic experience movies, and that's it. So not looking to introduce gaming in there. And I don't want to go down there and game anyway. If I game at night by myself, I don't want to go sit in the theater by myself. I'd rather sit in the living room. There's a better chance that my wife is chilling out on the couch and I can sit and play a game while she's surfing her iPad and we can talk rather than being a floor apart. So I'm really jazzed about this living room upgrade. So what do we got to do? Again, so we're ripping this down. That's the plan here, right? We're ripping this. Let me make sure my mouse is in the right spot for what I'm pointing at. Right, we're ripping this down. We have to deface this wall. So there's a couple limitations in here. In my infinite wisdom, when I designed this inset, it's slightly too small to fit a 97-inch OLED by like a quarter of an inch, maybe not even that, like an eighth of an inch, I think. And that's in the width. It has enough height to hold like a 97-inch LG G series, but it doesn't have the width. If I really tried, we could maybe get lucky with the tolerances and I could maybe squeeze it in there, but so it needs to get opened up. It needs to get opened up a little bit. And we don't have the height to be able to install the focal stuff as it is. If you look at the relative height of these focal speakers, the exterior dimensions of a focal Utopia in-wall is 45 3/4, and the sub is like 23 3/8. So I'm a couple inches to this spot on the wall right here, where there's a piece of lumber that runs all the way across the top, and it goes through this channel. I need a little bit more height right here above this joint. So this piece of framing that really frames the this element, these exterior channels need to just be open all the way from the floor. Really, we'll just open them up from the floor to the ceiling. We're going to get rid of this goofy angled upper section, which we don't need anymore to hold any speakers that way. And then we'll be able to have the Utopia speaker sit right on top of the Utopia subwoofer. Although now that I'm thinking about this, I'm saying it out loud. The way that the Utopia speaker and the subwoofer fit together is not a function of adding their two independent heights to each other. I wonder if I actually have just enough height to do this without actually changing it. I was talking with the folks at Focal with some installation questions about this, and the way that they go together, there's a little bit of like a merging together. Like you take a section of the top and the bottom off to some extent, and then they kind of like mesh together. But I think it's a very small amount of extra of height that is condensed. So probably no matter what, I think I need to do this project anyway. We want to tear the wall down. We want to get it completely vertical to the top. We'll make this an open channel. And I don't want to have the bottom of the speaker right at the top of the trim anyway. We want to sit it a couple inches above the floor. So it has a nice, some white space, some framing. We'll widen the interior a little bit. Maybe even open this up vertically a little bit as well. Essentially, you just reframe the whole thing, giving us the size to properly fit the 97G with a little bit of space, comfortable space around it. We don't want the television going to the very edges of the cubby anyway. There wants to be space for air, a little bit of airflow on the sides, and certainly like from the bottom, and then heat can kind of exhaust out of the top there. So, and then once it's all down, the wall is ripped down. I think I'm gonna pull some beefier speaker wire. The wire that I think that was originally ended up in here is pretty thin gauge, and we're gonna want some beefier wire. I think smaller gauge, thicker gauge wire for what these speakers are going to be. So we'll do that. We'll kind of, again, open up the sides a little bit, do some brush panels, give us the ability to get like an HDMI and or like some Ethernet cables through to the back of the television from either side, giving some more installation flexibility. Again, maybe that PC ends up upstairs here in the room. And I think that'll pretty much take care of the physical installation. So again, the Utopia speaker will sit on top of the subwoofer. You want the gain, like the boundary gain of the floor, the subwoofer being closer to the floor versus the subwoofer being on top. And then the tweeter is going to end up in a really, really nice spot relative to where the screen is located and all that. So super jazzed about this. If I've made this statement a number of times and I stand by it. If we had to move and I'm actually giving some of this advice with somebody that I'm working with on a project right now as well. But sometimes you have constraints, and like surround sound and having 45 speakers and all this stuff, like it doesn't work in every space. And in my space, it doesn't work. There's nowhere to put surround speakers. I could do some Atmos in here, but it's like Atmos without surround. Like 2-channel is there's so many merits to just a high-end 2-channel setup. And anyway, if we moved, particularly if we downsized, we didn't have a dedicated theater space. We had like a compromise space and it didn't fit. Like I would be completely happy with this setup or something similar to it. This level of equipment for sure, as my entire home theater. And I would live it up. These Utopias and the subwoofer modules, if I wasn't doing in-walls, what I would be looking at for myself in that type of a setup would be the Divas, like the Diva Utopias that they just announced, something along those lines. So I am interested to see like how the Utopia subs deliver in terms of how much base power we can get. This room can't take a lot of base power as well. So as it is, these triads can overcompensate this room. I can hear my gutters shaking outside and stuff like that. So I want to feel a little bit of bass, but we don't need like home theater bass in here. So it's going to be really interesting to see how everything lines up. So one of the other things that I'm doing in here then as well is how do we connect all this stuff and how do we amplify it? The Utopia speaker has 2 binding posts. It can be bi-amped like we're going to do in the theater. The subwoofer module has its own binding post. It could be ran on its own amplifier. But the Utopia speaker and the Utopia subwoofer modules connect to each other via like a speak-on cable. And so talking with the folks at Focal, it's like, well, should I bi-amp it? Do we want 3 amplifiers? Do we connect the subwoofer via speak-on, but then we bi-amp it? They basically said just run it as one single full range speaker. Fundamentally, there's crossover settings on the Utopia speaker itself that control the crossover of what gets sent to the subwoofer module. And 80 hertz, there's like 2 or 3 different settings. So what I'm going to do is I already have one NAD M23, and I'm enamored with this Focal NAD Anthem combination right now. I think it's still absolutely fantastic. The way that the 3 levels of equipment, the 3 brands all come together should be equally as spectacular with the Utopias as with the other 1000 series speakers that I've already been using. So the triad subs are going to go. The rack amplifiers that power those triad subs are going to go. And basically I need monoblocks. I need 2 monoblocks to run a set of the Utopia speaker plus subwoofer module as a 2-channel full range setup. And I'm gonna stick with my intention is to stick with the M23, and I'm gonna bridge it. So actually I can probably, let me pull some of this stuff up. We've kind of looked at the room here a good bit. Let's stop sharing this and let's pull up this. And if folks, I'm curious, always curious to get feedback and stuff here. So I butchered that spelling, but yeah, so this is the Utopia speaker. And I just released the video with kind of the open box hands-on. And this thing connects in, actually I don't have a good picture. Now you can kind of see it right here. So this is a Utopia with a subwoofer module both above and below. So we won't have one on top. Technically I have the room for it if I really wanted to. I think I have enough height to do this in that whole channel. But my intention was to do the speaker and the subwoofer module underneath. They connect right in here physically and wired together. And so that'll be what we're looking at there. And then if we look at the M23, this is a 200 watt 8 ohm, 300 and something watt, 380 watt 4 ohm, 700 watt bridge mode, 700 watt 8 ohm bridge mode. So my intention here is to pick up a second M23. So I have the Anthem STR, XLR output left and right to 2 M23s, each configured in a bridge mode, and then an M23 will drive, each M23 will drive a combination of a Utopia speaker plus subwoofer module. And then we're not actually even needing Arc Genesis to do as much as it would have when you have a lot of subwoofers. There's like really not, it's really just doing room correction, calibration, whatnot on 2 full range speakers at this point. So phase, delay, subwoofer integration, capabilities, all that stuff, crossover managements and things, won't really be doing that, but we'll still be using Arc Genesis in the room. I think Arc Genesis is a big reason why we get such good performance out of the setup in the living room there. And in particular, I think it helps a lot. It's an important element of how and why the phantom center effect works so well in the room. So I'm working on procuring the second M23 right now. And again, the speakers are on their way. Doing any of this stuff in the living room is completely gated by the physical construction project, though. So that needs to be done first. So while the other stuff is coming and I do the physical work in the theater, we'll have somebody else hopefully doing the physical work in the living room. And then all things maybe going well, maybe this is all done by early February or thereabouts. Probably the G597 won't be available by then anyway. So we'll get all the audio stuff taken care of, but I suppose we'll have to wait and see what happens with the television, the play for the television. And then going back to the watt boxes, once I do this as well, I don't want these M23s running on the UPS. So I bought two, like I think I mentioned earlier, I bought two of the 2 outlet watt box 820s, 20 amp rated. One of them will be used for the pair of M28s amps for the theater, and the other one will get used for the pair of M23s for the living room. And we've got really great parity of equipment and installation and hookup and all of that kind of going on. And again, using 3 more channels of the M28, adding a second M23, running them in bridge mode, this beefier PC, which probably will be, again, will end up in the basement plugged in down there. I think we're going to be asking too much of the UPS, and we're putting the amplifiers at risk. So it makes sense to take the amps off the UPS preemptively then, and it'll balance everything out a little bit better. So that's the plan. Again, if we get it done by February, that'll be awesome. If it gets all done in Q1-ish, barring the availability of the TV at least, if we get all this stuff, plus the cameras and the new controller and all this stuff in Q1, and then I can just sit back and make a ton of pieces of content all about it. I definitely want to record as we go, vlog all the installs and stuff like that. Maybe we'll even get like Focal on stream. We can talk about these speakers and stuff sometime. Yeah, so talked a long time. Let's see what some of the comments were saying. MW said, yeah, considering a media room instead of a cinema room. Yep, or cinema room is going next door to living room. Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's cool to have the theater. And every time, it's one of those things where it's like it sits down there. There's a lot of money sitting in that room, certainly. But that room has also been a reason to enable a lot of opportunity for me as well. So I have other values and considerations around it too. Every time we go down there and watch a movie, I love it. But you work with what you have. So I would not be disappointed. Again, if my home theater system was an Apple TV, a Kaleidoscape, a 97-inch G5, and a pair of Diva Utopias in a living room, I would be ecstatic. And with a big and a gaming PC, I'd have a big old grin on my face every time I use it. Yeah, Sammy's saying I actually never game in the theater. Maybe test a bit, check out what something looks like. Yeah. No, it's too good. The latency, VRR, just the way things look, gaming on a panel is far superior. Steven's saying he runs a fiber HDMI cable to the front of the room so he can have his PC there or plug in a switch or other console. Yeah, it's nice to have flexibility like that, be able to drop in something, remove something as you need to, for sure, if you're moving stuff around. Do you hear a difference between the Focal in-wall and the Sopra 3? I've never. Is that true? I'm trying to think if I ever actually heard the Sopras in person. I feel like the first Audio Advice Live. No, they didn't. They were supposed to have. They were supposed to have, I think, the Sopras there, and they didn't get them because something went wrong in the shipping, and they never arrived. I don't know that I've ever heard the Sopras, but fundamentally, I equate the IWLCR6, right? Model wise, the IWLCR6 is like a Sopra. It'd be a Sopra 2. The numbers go, 1 is the bookshelf, 2 is the medium sized tower, and 3 is the big tower. So an IWLCR6 would be an audio in-wall match of something like a 2 or a 3, and then the IW6 would be the equivalent of the bookshelf Sopra 1, but then the Utopias are Utopias, so they should be equitable, is my understanding. Can you get color matched grills? Not direct, I believe, not directly from Focal. Some of the integration brands like Triad do factory paint and matching and stuff like that. I'm not aware that Focal does that, but I guess I'm not entirely sure either. I've kept all my grills white, somewhat out of laziness and somewhat out of the idea in the back of my mind that this was going to happen. So now I feel vindicated that I never painted the grills, because I'm going to sell these speakers, the ones that are coming out, and I'm glad I didn't paint them, because now the new owner can decide whether they want white grills or they would like to paint them whatever they want to paint them. But now I have the choice. Once this upgrade is complete, now I can really decide, do I want white grills or do I want to paint them? Because these speakers will be here for some time to come. So Steven's saying he only plays certain games in the theater. Indiana Jones. Yeah, I'd like to play the new Indiana Jones for sure. That's one that's waiting for the 5090. 100%. There were stretches in time where I gamed in the theater a pretty good bit. Xbox Series X generation, or Xbox One X generation, sorry, into the beginning of like the Xbox Series X generation. I played a lot of Destiny down there with my buddies and my clan. Played a lot of console Red Dead Redemption 2 down there, although I kind of abandoned that game halfway in on console and then restarted and played the whole thing on PC later. There's a couple games that I played down there in the past, but nowadays I want to be up here anyway. Srin, ooh, got a Stewart screen. Awesome. 3 to 4 week timeline, shipped in 2 weeks. Love it. Cool. You're building that up. Does the M23 have a toroidal? I think so. I don't remember. I probably knew this at one point or another. I don't remember the build details for that question. Sorry. Paul saying, welcome, Paul. Our living room is similar, but we did add Atmos with in-ceiling surrounds. Yep. Yeah, I've had in-ceiling in that room. Actually, we had in-ceiling surrounds and stuff. So I've had that before, but I'm happy with we'll be sticking 2-channel in there for sure, especially while we have the other room. Steven, forget UPS, just get a home battery backup solution like a Powerwall. Yeah, I want to look into this year. I want to look into the current state of like solar and some alternative power. See what that stuff is running in terms of cost and credits and other things like that. I haven't looked into it in a while, but especially with our Tesla and our geothermal HVAC system, I'd love to have off-grid power, because we basically have free transportation, free mobility, recharging on the Tesla. Well, not free, because we have to pay for the panels, but ongoingly renewable free energy for the Tesla. and we could have a little more freedom to run the HVAC at different levels, especially right now as it's, God, I don't even know what it is outside right now here in Michigan, 16. I think we're going down to single digits overnight coming up Thursday night or sometime soon. So it'd be really nice to have be less electrical energy conscious, I suppose. Malik, welcome. Just got the Samsung HWQ990D. Do you recommend any add-ons to the system? What is the HWQ990D? It's a soundbar setup, yeah. Nice $2,000 subwoofer. Yeah, you're on your way. Focus on the video chain next. If that takes care of your audio, focus on the video chain, and then source components really is the order that I would do it. Croson, welcome. Totally want entertainment room. Use it every day. Watch movies roughly every week. Yep. Also change the formal dining room. I've even been contemplating watching more movies in the living room because I find myself aging quickly and realizing there's like a lot of content that I'd like to see. And if I don't make time to see it, like more time is just going to keep passing by. So my ability to like go downstairs, settle in, watch a whole movie by myself is almost non-existent. But so I almost like, I really want to watch the Batman. I want to watch the Penguin. I'm not going to watch the Penguin before I watch the Batman. Not going to watch the Batman with the family because that's a little beyond. We're kind of like, we're probably pushing the mature content with the Marvel universe as it is. I definitely didn't do my research to realize the Eternals had like a straight up sex scene in it as we were in there with the whole family a couple weeks back, let alone like all the violence and whatnot. But the DC stuff is definitely more mature. So it's like, man, I should just watch the Batman by myself. It's like, where can I find 3 hours to watch a movie by myself? But I could watch the Batman in 3 1-hour segments in the evening when I'm chilling out, probably close to falling asleep on the couch for bedtime. And so I think I may start doing that, just like breaking movies down into into 2 or 3 episodic viewings. And I'm not going down to the theater and turning everything on and settling in down there to do that. I'm just chilling on the couch. So yet another reason why I'm very excited that I'm very glad that that things didn't work out and that I didn't just push to do the Utopia upgrade for the theater. I think I'm going to be very much more happy upgrading both spaces and having the living room really get to where I want the living room to be. It's like a super luxury audio video space. Sopra has the same tweeter and mids as the Utopia. If you mean in the speakers, I believe the Utopia tweeters are different. I think you're right. The mids and the like the mid bass are similar, if not some of them are the same. But Focal 2, that's one of the things that I really like about Focal 2 is even if some of the speakers look the same, they're still probably they're tuned specifically like speaker to speaker. This would be fun stuff to talk about with the Focal folks. Maybe we'll end up doing a stream with them or something. Is like what are these real differences, right? Because they design and manufacture everything, the drivers, the bits and pieces, and then the whole totality of the speakers themselves. So things are, as I understand it, things are tuned to the application. So, but I believe the Utopia tweeter is at a slightly different level than the Sopras or within the in-wall line. Sammy's saying living room setup is what we use like 90% of the time. Yep. Lingdorf, A95L, Rebel, K-Skate, PSA subs. Yep. Yeah, I think too, after this will also be the final thing that drives me. I will go ahead and run 2 Stratos once this is all done. And I'll definitely be using a Strato V. I don't think I'm going to swap out my V for a C in the theater anyway. And 100% will be using the Strato V in the living room. Because why not, right? Dolby Vision, and the V has the ability to do the audio downmix, 2-channel output. It's perfect. So definitely putting a discrete player in the living room, and then that will further drive me to say, like, okay, this is a movie watching zone, full stop, period. And if I'm going to watch movies myself episodically, and I can do it on that equipment, I'll do it on the K-Scape. It'll be awesome. Audio Device has a video on how to paint in-wall and ceiling speakers. Yeah, you don't want to get paint. That's the other thing that scared me, is I don't want to screw up the grill. Screw up the grill, you screw up the audio, right? If you plug the holes and whatnot. I don't mind the white, honestly. I think the white, to me, the white looks sharp as well. So Srin saying his family room, he has 5.1.2 with Kefs, SVS subwoofers, 83 G4, running Anthem, and some Buckeye 3 channels. Nice. Yeah, receiver plus the 3-channel amp. I think that's a stellar setup. If you're going to go multi-channel, especially for the living room setup, that's a great way to do it. Steven has solar roof and power walls. Love it. Yeah, very cool how it integrates with the cars. Yeah. Yeah, once we're done with all this stuff, that might be something else that we look at. We'll see how things go, income-wise and revenue-wise and all that stuff. MW saying you should really consider a heap toroid amp like Monoprice X700 or Summit A7. Dynamics will be noticeably different. And I don't know. I really like these NADs. What I like is they're so clean. They're so clean. There's no hum. There's no hiss. And I experienced that a lot in prior amps that had big power delivery, like the Parasounds Class A, B stuff. Julius, what are your thoughts on using isolation pads in your electronic equipment? People use them on amps, speakers, etc. A lot of my stuff is rack mounted anyway, so I'd rather have it rack mounted for the stability and cleanliness of the install. The NAD amps come with little plastic puck feet anyway, the hard plastic, but yeah, I'm not really, I think, considering anything along those lines. As Focal, if they're friends with Acoustics, the venue I work is getting their K3 rig and pumped. French make the best speakers. Nice. Erod saying, I can't watch movies or thumb around the Apple TV in our living room, even with nice setup. Spend a lot of time in my theater with the kids and wife. Yep. Yeah, I mean, to each their own. There's merits to the room. Like I said, every time I use it, I remember why I wanted it to begin with and why I love having it at the level that it's at. So I don't downplay it by any means. Just kind of the reality of life and time and all that for me right now. Yeah, Parasound. Yeah, but the problem was the Parasounds were a terrible match with these Focal speakers because they buzzed. They buzzed terribly. At least the A52s did. So I'm super happy with the combo of the Focal NAD Anthem. Oh. Well, that was the gist, I think, of what I wanted to talk about tonight. So look for a variety of videos to come on the topics that we were discussing through the last hour and a half. It's going to be a packed Q1. I think I'm going to have a lot of fun with it. So I look forward to doing some more like get-togethers and showcase events as well as we get everything done and work towards the spring. I think 2025 is going to be an interesting tech year. Yeah, and I definitely want to get out. Contemplating going down to the Florida Audio Show. Definitely expect to go to Audio Vice Live again. And I really want to make CEDIA this year. I thought about CES, but as we kind of mentioned, I'm not really feeling like traveling right at this moment as well. Hopefully I can get this goofiness that I'm experiencing kind of taken care of and be raring to go. Yeah. So any last comments, questions, thoughts? Pop them in the chat and give it just another minute. Appreciate everybody coming out. We had a pretty stacked audience through the most of the evening here. Definitely going to go crash on the couch for a little while and check out the Fractal Mood and contemplate some nicer looking ITX builds, PC builds. Let me get off the computer though. I'm really feeling my throat. I'm talking a lot. My throat just doesn't hold up. I could never be an orator or a teacher or something where I had to talk all day long. But sitting here, moving around too much, it's making me feel dizzy. MWs, the 900 noticeably brighter. I've not seen them side by side. What's the spec? Is it like 3,000 to 3,300? I'm pretty sure that 900. Sammy's here. He could probably comment on this. No, actually, it's bigger than I was thinking. 3,300 to 2,700. That's a pretty considerable difference in spec. I can't say how they perform side by side. I haven't shot those two off against each other. I was able to go for the 900, and I wanted every lumen, every nit that I could get onto my screen. So it was worth it for me for sure to be able to get put the lens, get calibrated, use the 900 at 163 inches, and get what were we at 105 nits. Sammy saying yes, it's noticeable. Yep. Per Bringo, lots of new names popping up tonight. Love to see it, along with all the regular friends. Appreciate what you do. Thank you very much. It's very fun. Cool. Yeah, MW, if you want to talk about those, very noticeable, even not next to each other. Yeah. I haven't seen an NZ800 actually, because I saw the 900 at Audio Vice Live and then I bought it. So I haven't seen an 800. And definitely to my NX7, there's a difference. Or the former NX7. But MW, if you're looking at projectors, definitely reach out. Go through the website, whatever, Jeremy at techthusiasm.net. I'd love to help you out if I can. Srenia, the 500 and 700. I haven't looked for an update on this, but it was presuming that they were coming available pretty soon. Considering the M4K 25. Oh, the Christie. That's a heck of a projector. Yeah. Save a load. Yes. You'd save money. It's not often that people buy the NZ900 as the budget play. Just keeping up with the comments here for a minute. Yeah, Sony GZ380 can be an option too. With the MK45, need a MAD VR. JVC, don't need it really. You got a few options at that high end. Definitely, if I can help you out with anything, feel free to reach out. Happy to chat. All right, folks, we're gonna call it a day. I was feeling really good today, and I got to spend less time in front of this big old monitor. Let's see, my screen will be around 170 inches, NZ900. Yeah, you'll get a lot of light on that screen. If that's 170 16:9 or 170 scope. Cool. All right, we're gonna call it a night here. Hopefully, maybe next time we'll be back. Maybe next time we could be able to get back with Sammy, dig into some talk about calibration. Like I said, hopefully at some point get back with the Focal folks as well. There's another, I think another live stream being planned towards the end of the month. That should be pretty fun to participate in. And yeah, we'll keep the content rolling, keep the stuff flowing in, accumulate boxes of things that need to be installed and managed. And it's going to be a super exciting Q1. So I hope that you're excited to stick with me while we go through all this stuff. Hopefully it all works without any catches or gotchas. Goes all the upgrades go off without a hitch, and super excited where we end up on the other side of everything. So thanks so much for watching, folks. Coming back for more home theater discussion and fun. Thanks.